I apologize in advance for my dry mouth. I just went for it, and yeah, so I apologize for that, man. Okay, so let's just get it out of the way. I mean, apparently, I'm not gonna look up the quote or whatever, but the first album for The Cure was not. It was mixed by the studio. There wasn't as much input with the band, and Robert Smith has lamented or regretted, or has just talked about fucking. Man, I wish we had a little bit more control. Hence, a a big change up. I mean, not too much. And I'll be completely honest. I mean, I've not listened to their first album as much as the rest of their stuff. But it's not like there isn't some good stuff besides, Boys Don't Cry. Grinding Halt, I think that's another really, I mean, there's Meat Hook and everything, but, anyway. Second, third, and fourth album are all pretty much kind of very similar veined, very minimal in some ways, very ethereal, atmospheric. There's Pornography. I know it goes. I think it goes 17 seconds, Faith, and then Pornography. I think. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, where a lot of times where does these influences come from? And it's not just one band. I mean, there was a whole gothic movement, there's a whole punk movement, there's a whole grunge movement, psychedelic rock movement, etc., rap, hip hop, funk, disco. I mean, it's once again, it doesn't come from one place. Is everyone just copying off of each other? Or I mean, are we reflecting certain elements of the past? Because a lot of times, once again, a lot of these bands, a lot of bands in general, are they kind of pull from somewhere else. And I would definitely, I don't know where exactly. Once again, they could have been listening to what else was going on and everything. But those, second through fourth album, two, three, and four, they're very different. And the first album, there's similarities, almost has a kind of a garage rock, but it's a little bit more, I would say, indie rock-esque, which is interesting because, anyway. So you got Head on the Door. That's fucking, that's this near perfect combination of putting in art and I would say business. A lot of pop music, in my opinion, is business oriented. Because you're just trying to appeal to the biggest audience, which is not necessarily wrong. Because I don't know, and pop is such because you can become pop, you know what I mean? And then there's people who and pop generally is this very clean, crisp, very tight, very easy to, if you need to cover it, you can fucking probably do that. Compared to say, you got Jimi Hendrix, for example. I'm not saying you can't cover Jimi Hendrix, but it's a little harder. It's not just, there wasn't just notes being played. There was actually feeling being played. Which sometimes, it's nearly impossible to replicate that feeling. Nearly. I was about to go into a fucking Jimi Hendrix, appreciation. Anyway, maybe I should do that later. Head on the Door. This is this perfect, kind of once again, still in that element of goth. Stuff's very poppy, but the undertone is very very dark, very menacing, very in the shadows. Once again, very gothic. And they're also going into these controversial stuff. They're talking about religion and stuff, kind of in a negative light, maybe. 6 different ways, sinking. It's interesting that I don't know about anybody else, but to be able to listen to a really sad song, for example, Sinking, even if you're in a good mood or whatever, the song's just so fucking good, in my opinion. And once again, it's still, there's complexity starting to, be added. And it's not like there isn't complexity in all the music in general. It's just, a band becoming more experienced, and you could clearly tell by The Top was a very different album, but it was different because of a bunch of personal troubles going on in within the band, which had been going on for a while, and it happens to a lot of bands. It's very hard to stay together. I can imagine, but not. I'm sure for some people it's not. Once again, The Cure, they're still there might have been a hiatus or whatever, but they're still around, and hopefully they still will be. knock on wood. I mean, and isn't it kind of beautiful that a band can continue on even in like, when they've reached an older age, shouldn't you retire? But it's like, if you have a lot of fun, why stop? But the top, Shake Dog Shake. I mean, a lot of these songs are also like, I don't know if you'd want to give it like, a lot of them are really sad songs. They're very depressing songs. And, anyway, you got the top, and then you got, I think, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. I think that came next, I believe. And then you got Disintegration, which, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me was once again that kind of like, they kind of got their shit back together in some ways, it seems. In my opinion. And once again, the top, even the song, the title, the last track on the top is great. Fucking Wailing Wall. There's, Dressing Up, a lot of great fucking songs. In some ways, obviously, The Cure is kind of just like Robert Smith's, like, music project in a way. Obviously, he's had a band and everything. It was, at some point, like, not just Robert Smith's, but, anyway. Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me is, once again, going back to that, Head on the Door, pop style, but sometimes, that it was almost like, not almost, it was literally, it is, almost a concept album. I would say almost a concept album. Maybe it is but, All Love, and like kind of just like all the angles of love. I'm sure there's way far more, there wasn't just love in there. I think Icing Sugar is a pretty good indication of possibly something else. There's so many, there's so many good songs on that fucking album. Perfect Girl, All I Want, I just wish this is all off the top of my head. I'm just trying to remember a bunch of them. Torture's a good one. I could just name off a bunch of, you can name off your favorite fucking ones. Anyway, but it definitely was a lot, that the composition in Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, excuse me, a lot more grandiose. I would say a little bit more orchestrated. And then definitely for Disintegration, that's, in my opinion, a pretty perfect fucking album. It's a pretty perfect fucking album in terms of goth rock or alternative rock or whatever you want to call it. And once again, that ethereal, whatever, atmospheric feeling is there. Very, once again, menacing and very sad, dreary. Lullaby, man. You got fucking Fascination Street, Pictures of You. Once again, it's almost this, I don't know, like Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me was, if it was concept album in some ways, which once again, I don't think it was at all, but like, you had like this like very, like almost honeymoon phase, and then you have this very like brooding phase within the relationship. A lot of it isn't relationship stuff, but a lot of it is. Even what is it, Plain Song, I think is the first song called. Even the intro to the first song for Disintegration is so fucking beautiful, man. I think I'm gonna listen to it. The whole album. That album is so fucking perfect. And, everything beyond that, I haven't listened to it as much. There's a lot out there, obviously. But at the same time, though, like, I don't know, they kind of, like, where else do you go from there? Like, and once again, can you do you have to always top yourself or whatever the fuck? Or do you have to always, appeal? Do you have to appeal all the time? And it's not like they weren't trying. I'm not, no disrespect. Robert Smith has said that some of his favorite work is some of the newer stuff compared to the older stuff, which is, I imagine, as imagine if the more experience you have, you would like to assume that your stuff's is only getting better. Especially with experience and stuff like that. But by that, even now, they have, once again, they have found this sound that they came up with themselves, and they only grew upon it. It's like this, it's a very menacing garden in a lot of ways. And, once again, it's very orchestra kind of based. In some ways, there's a lot of fucking instrumentation, especially in a lot of the stuff that's going on nowadays, which is kind of, in some ways it kind of sucks. I'm sure there are some songs that it's just like nothing but just guitar, bass, and drums, or like, synthesizer bass and drums, or whatever. Because obviously, like, I think by the end of the day, it's like, I'd rather be with I think The Top was a pretty good example of him admitting, I want to be, I mean, playing with friends is is probably the greatest experience if you're a musician. Unless you do solo work or whatever. But I mean, like, to be able to, have this camaraderie, whatever you want to fucking pronounce it. I think it's camaraderie. And I don't want to go too much further off tangent or too far, because it's awesome that it's awesome that a band doesn't stop too. I think that's just, and I mean, it's all right if a band stops. I mean, life goes on, you know what I mean? People get bored, or people move on to other things, and those things take a little bit more preoccupation than what was originally, allowed for, or whatever. People start families. I mean, there are people, people change up. They just, I don't know, whatever reason, maybe there's turmoil in the band, whatever. Maybe it's on good terms. I don't know. Maybe that's all you had to say. That's all she wrote, or whatever. I guess I'll end it with saying this band evolved a little differently than some other bands, but in some ways they didn't. I mean, talking about the Beatles, there's another band that definitely evolved a lot, but they evolved in a very different way, and then they were able to kind of return back to how it always was. The Cure, for example, once again, they kind of found their own sound in some ways. A lot of times sound, I go back to like Spider-Man or like Star Wars or something like that. It's like an amalgam or whatever. Amalgam, whatever. I think it's amalgam, but like, it's just like this very large amount of fucking references being like pushed together, and you don't know which one begins and which one ends, and etc. This band, they found a sound, and they kind of just like, let it, it's just like this very, very, like very dark colored flowers, purple. I mean, in my opinion, it's not like there isn't like other colors involved, but I mean, it's just like this garden, this beautifully overgrown garden. It's fucking awesome, man. In my opinion. And, they've continued to let it grow, in my opinion. For me personally, I think the thing that sticks out the most is usually the bass. And of course, Robert Smith's singing. It's kind of also awesome that he often is willing to like, there's like a giant introduction nearly, and then like almost like a minute, almost 2 minutes long, and then the voice or his vocals come in. It's like, especially for like singing is a good example. It's just like just listen to the music first. Let's just, we got to build this fucking environment up, and then the vocals will. I mean, do they tear it down? I don't know, or do they build upon it? I imagine it builds upon it. Now, Robert Smith isn't the first like artist or person to kind of not exposing themselves to have to be like this masculine figure. Not that they can't be a masculine figure, but like, to take on feminine qualities or characteristics that, normally are not, I guess supported by standards or whatever. It becomes a very taboo or stigmatized situation when a dude is wearing makeup or painting their fingernails or whatever. I mean, nowadays it's a little bit more normalized, in some ways. There was also David Bowie, as one pretty good example of someone being androgynous. I think that's the right word. Because it's just, it kind of just plays off that we're all human. It doesn't matter exactly if you are gender or genderless or, it shouldn't matter. I mean, like, we're all human. We all come from the same place. We all come from Earth, most likely. I don't think anyone's an alien. I could be wrong. I guess I'll conclude with this band definitely focused on art. And it's not like they didn't focus on business too, because obviously, they wouldn't be known if they didn't, know the business side. It's not like obviously it's just a band. You need other people. 100%. These guys they were artists, but using sound to paint or to draw or whatever. Their instrumental choices for composition also were pretty fucking odd, but a lot of them worked. It was very, very different. And a lot of times different can be fucking awesome, man.